Given the strength of the box office, and the exhibitors must be thrilled, we've heard from AMC and IMAX, do we have to start reconsidering the length of the window yet again?
Well, this is going to be a big decision as they look towards the next Marvel release, which is Eternals, scheduled for a November 5 release later this year. And I think the industry is looking very closely at the experience over the past 4 days. Obviously, Shang-Chi performed exceedingly well, broke the record by nearly double on a previous Labor Day weekend. And there's a lot of discussion around whether or not the theatrical only or the hybrid model is the better way to go.
Is this a precedent-setting move now? Do you think we get even more pictures that with a 45-day window than we might have thought prior to this weekend?
My gut says yes. I think that, as I said, this was a real outperformer this past 4 days. And I think that the pushback from the talent also has to be considered, as well as the pushback from the theatres. And you have to remember that Bob Chapek at Disney, CEO at Disney, is motivated to work closely with both the talent and the theatre exhibitors. And he wants them to come along and see success as well. If they're successful, he'll be successful. So I think it's important, and they're both motivated to have that 45-day window in place.
I get all that, Simon, but just to dig into this a little bit more, I mean, from the talent side of things, I mean, right now you have a streaming debut on Disney. The company gets to take in all of the profit associated with that versus having to share in the revenue of a box office opening initially. Aren't there sort of new or creative ways that you could, as a Disney or as another one of these companies, court talent and perhaps get them on board?
Look, absolutely. And certainly everyone needs to be mindful that the legal challenge that Scarlett Johansson currently has with Disney, that was an agreement that was negotiated 10 years ago. It included multiple films and didn't perhaps anticipate where we were going to be in the streaming landscape. Certainly, I'm sure that all of the new agreements that they're negotiating give them that flexibility to have the streaming simultaneous. But I also wonder if they start to look at this and question whether or not $30 is too light as a price point. I wonder if there's a justification to maybe step up that price point. Certainly, they get to keep a much larger slice of the pie when it's streaming revenue versus theatrical revenue. But I also think that there's a premium association that comes from being a theatrical-only release, and that follows the film all the way downstream through all of the following windows.
Simon, when it comes to Netflix, we've been talking about how the stock has revived recently. It's come along with some news about a few dozen new feature-type releases that the company's going to have in the latter part of this year, as well as getting Seinfeld. Do those things, do you think, really move new subscribers, reduce churn, or is it just kind of the atmospherics around, look, Netflix is the incumbent in streaming, and they're just going to continue to fill the pipeline for the folks they already have?
No, look, I absolutely think they continue to pour fuel on the fire, for lack of a better description. And you only have to look at the Seinfeld deal and just be mindful of the fact that that's a worldwide licensing deal. Hulu had previously held the US-only streaming rights for Seinfeld. The two marquee series that they lost, Friends and The Office, again, that was largely, they did have those in some international markets, but they didn't have worldwide streaming rights like they do for Seinfeld. So I think what that emphasizes is that Netflix is very mindful of securing content and securing it in every market that they're in around the world, and really delivering the best US content on a global basis.
I am curious to know a little bit more about how you view some of these classic sitcoms as intellectual property. Your general point is that streaming audiences, they tend to like first-run stuff, original stuff, but in between that, some of these older shows kind of fill the white space.
Absolutely. I'm sure we've all had that experience of when you just recognize certain talent, or you recognize a certain series, and you've had a positive experience with that in the past, it's an easy decision. You don't suffer from decision fatigue in the way that many of us do when we go onto Netflix or any of the services. So the default is always what's new and fresh, what's in the top 10 in whatever country you're in around the world. But then it's what else have I seen? What else did I enjoy? And obviously Seinfeld has the deepest fan base of probably any television show in history.